We're here, we finally arrived at this final part of this Dare to Ask project with the third instalment, the CD and devotional Soar, has finally landed. This part of the project is really exciting because many of us may think we've arrived when we truly begin to soar in our walk with God. But during our adventure of this Dare to Ask project, we've learned how to dream again. We've been awakened to who God is and understood more about who we are. And so when we get to that place where we start to soar, we can think we've arrived, but actually it's just a launching pad to this whole cycle starting all over again. And that's what I love about God. It's never an arrival, it's always a journey. At each part of this project, God has really tested me on the things that I'm writing about. It's kind of been a little bit amusing to be able to preempt the tests that God was going to bring me because of what I'd been writing down. And this project was no different. I was forced to find new perspectives. I was put under extreme circumstances, which I had to learn to somehow rise above and find a consistency and a place of peace even amongst the chaos I was walking in. And that's really what this project's all about. It's about finding a consistency in our walk that allows us to ride those currents and find a greater perspective and a wider view of what we're walking through, and maybe a flipping of what we understand the situation to be and find God's purpose in it. And that's really what I learned both in my season of carpet time on the floor, but also in the making and writing and recording of this very project. It was definitely the test that God had for me to once again walk through. The process of making and recording this part of the music was really challenging because I came straight into this project off the back of the 10-day Ascend Carmel program, where half of our program fell sick. And I had a moment during the program where I knew I had to make a choice if I was going to serve the people well and risk getting sick, or keep my distance and preserve my voice. And I chose to serve the people, which meant on the first day of recording I was sick as a dog, and I had to go into the studio in complete weakness. And it kind of became a theme throughout this whole project, with my recording times always having me sick, to the point where my team actually called me ahead of time to check I was in fact sick, because we couldn't do a project without that being the case. So I really went into it from a place of weakness, which I felt was really instrumental and key to this project, because I was being tested in the very things I've been writing about. I had a situation I had to learn to rise above and find a different perspective on, and it was an impossible situation, but it was incredible to see God pull through. So somehow through that weakness, God managed to use it for His glory, and not only to be able to record it at all, but to actually finish early, which was really a miracle. The musical progression of this whole project has really been amazing to me, to see how at each stage the music has reflected the topic. With Dreaming, it was really a more reflective and meditative style of music. It allowed people to really interact with God and think and dwell on the dreams and visions that He's put in their hearts. And then the second one really took a step forward, and it was a bit more upbeat, and it reflected well the process of being awakened. And I was really excited to see a more upbeat and Britpop side of me to come out in that music. In Soar, we go even bigger. The sound is more of a majestic and epic sound that really represents well this feeling of soaring on these currents, which is what this whole project is all about. Within each section of this project, the devotionals themselves reflect a journey that the songs walk you through. And it's the same in Soar. We start with a realization of the heat and passion of God's love towards us. And that in turn allows us to rise on these thermals, which God brings our way, and it helps us to understand that maybe if we're isolated or alone, or we feel completely outside of other people's worlds, it's a place where we can find clarity and vision. And from there, we learn about how He's always there to be found. His echoes go through eternity, and they're always there as an anchor for us to ride on and find our hope. The process of this part of the project, Soar, is that we really learn to rise up on these currents, but in so doing, we learn a new place and a new level of surrender. And it's in that place that God can then trust us with even higher heights. And it's a constant cycle of being taken up to new heights and then bowing low to new lows. And it's this cycle that we walk through with God as we go higher and we see greater, that it brings us to this humble place of really, really needing to bow lower. The cool thing about this part of the project was that we were able to bring live strings into the studio, and I was so excited and privileged to be able to work with my sister-in-law who brought her incredible cello in, and we were able to create this amazing, majestic sound that so reflects well the topic of soaring on those heights. My hope for this installment of this project is that it will encourage you that the depths that we walk mirror the heights that He wants to take us. And it will be an encouragement to really seek those wider perspectives and those vistas that are available from those heights. But those heights come at a cost and at a place of surrender that is truly a place where treasure is found. And my prayer is that as we walk through this adventure together, whether it's through a book or through a course or through a music CD, that you find these places and your walk is elevated to new places and new heights and new hopes.